Hey folks, this is Justin at Metcalf Mills. Today we're doing one of my favorite fall activities, and that is digging taters. And we're a little late digging them. I like to dig them towards the end of September, but they won't really hurt in the ground. The skins may get a little bit rough on them, but other than that, they're fine. They'll actually stay in the ground all winter because I plowed them out in the spring before where we've missed them, and they look like just beautiful taters. So it's fine if they're still in the ground. I like to get them dug early, and I feel like they keep better the later you can dig them too. But that's what we're doing today, digging taters. My family's been growing taters in this holler where we live for, I guess, don't really know when they started digging them, but maybe 200 years. I don't know when taters got here, but I guess they've been loving them ever since, because I sure do love them. Tell you a little something about my great-great-grandpa, Joe Hardy. You're going to hear a lot about him. I know a lot of good stories I'm going to share with you within my videos. They said he loved taters. He always had a big tater patch, and he eat taters every morning for breakfast fried. And I know how he feels because I could do the same. We're going to get to work and see what kind of harvest we get out of here. I've heard from other people their tater harvest was not that good this year, but we're going to hope for the best and see what we can scratch out. Let's dig them. There's some spots here that I scratched some out to eat on and also to give away. So there may be a hill or two that don't have much in it. Ooh, looky here. Looky there. Nice arse taters. I don't complain about that because those are great. They are great. A little tater dog over here. I guess she's a tater dog. I need to try them out on her and see if she likes them. Oh yeah. Now the way we're having to dig here is every other row by hand so that we can get our tractor in here and dig the other opposite rows, because what happened was the tractor that I had when I planted these taters, the wheel distance between the wheels is different on my new tractor, so I don't want to run over these and risk bruising them, which will cause them to rot. So we're going to dig every other row by hand, and then we'll come back with the tractor and plow the rest of them out. And like I say, I dug some right through here to eat on and just see how they was. But there may be a few hills that we don't get nothing out of. And it was strange this year too because they didn't bloom. There was very few blooms on these, and I don't know why. And I had other people tell me the same thing. Theirs didn't bloom either. These potatoes here that I use for seed come out of Minnesota. First time I've ever grown Minnesota. I've heard a lot of good things about them, but first time I've ever grown them. Nice, beautiful taters. Look at there. Beautiful. Close to the right size for. Come here, Penny. Come here, girl. Here's them bear dogs up on the mountain. I'll make sure she don't go get mixed in with them. Come here, girl. I don't want you to get up there with them old bear dogs now. I don't want you to get up there with them bear dogs. I don't want you to get up there with them bear dogs. You too little to be running with them dogs. Oh yeah. Definitely not the most taters I've ever got out of a hill, but this is the top side. Usually down towards the bottom side of the patch you'll get, that'll be a lot better, because I guess the taters down there gets all the energy and all that stuff. Any kind of nutrients and stuff, it all goes down to the lower side usually. Not all of it, but some of it. So they generally are bigger on the lower side. My family, most of the farming they done it with horses or mules. And they'd grow their crops and work them with horses or mules. When I was a little boy, my grandpa had a team of red mules, big old red mules that he used. And he'd grow taters up on the hill up there in the holler above his house. On pretty steep ground too. I mean, it wasn't nothing like what we're on right here, which is pretty sloping. It was pretty steep ground. Pretty steep ground. Nothing to complain about. Them are nice taters. Uh-oh. They moved up the hill on me. I'll have to move up the hill. Yeah, them is nice taters. Real nice. Sometimes when you're cultivating and stuff, especially on a hillside, you'll get the row kind of off to the side a little bit. It'll lead you to think you're on the side of the tater row and you ain't. Oh yeah. Like I say, I don't complain about them taters that size, them little ones, because they are so good. Boil them things and bake them in the oven or put them in a pan on top of the stove, either one. And they are so good. And this is I guess we're averaging about a meal's worth of taters to a hill, so that ain't too bad. Be a lot of meals in this patch of ground. I've got 8 rows through here, and I think they're around 180 feet long, so that's about around 1,400 row feet of taters, I guess. That's quite a lot. Quite a lot. You can quit recording now. What I'm going to do, since we got quite a few smaller taters in here, I'm going to put the bigger ones separate from the smaller ones. And that's handy when you're cooking, because then you can, if you want, you know, taters to bake, or you're cutting them up for some reason, the big ones are a whole lot easier. And then you can eat your smaller ones separate, and you don't have to dig through and sort them out as you need them. Just easier to do it that way, so that's what we're going to do. Putting the decent sized ones over there, leaving the smaller ones over here. You can see there what we got now. Bigger ones over here, smaller ones over here. Be easier to deal with when we get ready to go to the root house and get some for supper or breakfast. Looky there, looky there. Nice, nice. Well, folks, we dug one row out of our 8, and we got about 2 bushels of taters out of one row. We got 8 rows total. We should have around 16 bushel if every row averages like this one did. And one good thing, about 3/4 of what we dug are bigger size, and maybe 1/4 of them is smaller size. So that's just right. I'm happy with that. I love those small ones. And then you got the big ones that's easy to peel and quick. So I'm happy with how it's went so far. And I'm anxious to see how many we get total out of this patch. All right, folks, I'm gonna show you my technique that I use. There's a tater over there, Virginia. I'm gonna show you my technique to dig taters and not stab very many or cut very many if you're using a hoe. But I'm the original tater-tarian. I don't know if I told you that, but I am the original, as far as I know, one and only tater-tarian. And sometimes I'll stick a tater with a fork before I even cook it. I reckon that's a tater-tarian coming out in me or something, but this is how I try not to do that. Down to lower, you can see the tater ridge right through here. I start down here at the low side, and I just go down, get as much out of there as I can. If you hit it in just the right spot, see, you can see where them taters are at. See right there? That's tater hill, because it's telling you right there. So you just kind of go down under where they're at, flop them up like that. Look at there. They don't get skint, they don't get hurt. They just come on out of there and say, let's go to the kitchen. Look at there. You can see right where they're at when you do it that way. It's a whole lot less chance of stabbing one.
Thanks.
That's my technique for digging taters. And not cutting them or stabbing them. Look at there, what a dandy. Look at that thing. I've heard people say it's hard to dig taters by hand without cutting them or bruising them or tearing them up. But if you do it that way, it's as easy as falling off of a log. Some people come in from the side of the row and dig them. I don't like doing it that way either, because you're liable to get into it before you know it. Look at there, how easy. Some weather blowing in. Out of them 2 rows we dug, we ended up with right close to 5 bushel of taters. That's what we ended up with out of them 2 rows. So if that holds true for the whole patch, we ought to end up with about 20 bushel around about. And that's a good number for a tater-tarian. We had a good ratio of little taters to big. There's quite a few of them in this whole crate's about like that. Some's a little bigger, but I like them. They're really good for some things cooking a certain way. And then the rest of them was pretty good size. And what I like to do is I'll leave them in these baskets a little while, a week or two if I can. I got a lot more to dig, but I try to leave them as long as I can. And then when I pour them out in this box we just built, I'll kind of look through them and make sure and pick out the ones that's damaged or, you know, starting to rot or got bruised or got chopped with the digger or with a fork or something. I'll pick all them out when I put them in this box. And that way, hopefully, we won't have none that will ruin when we get them all in there. You can't dig through them, really. So you want to try to make sure you got the best ones that you've got in the bottom. If you don't, you may have problems. And when you got a lot of taters, it's hard to... You can't go through them unless you got a lot of room, and right here we don't. So that's what we'll do. I just wanted to give a special holler out to Chris, our neighbor, and the kids at Sunny Truth Farm for all their help. They was all excited in there like groundhogs grabbing these taters when I was digging them and putting them in the basket for me. It seems like they had a lot of fun, and I just wanted to shout out to them. I really appreciate it. Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed digging taters with us. Like I say, we got 6 more rows to dig, so there may be some more of that end up here. So definitely when I get them all dug, I'll show you my harvest and all that. This little root house behind me here, root cellar, whatever you want to call it, I built that for my mother several years ago, probably 10, 12 years ago. And she always wanted one. And I dug out in the bank here behind her house, and I built her this little root cellar. And then she had a room upstairs where on the upper level, where she could store, you know, outdoor stuff, garden stuff and whatnot. But that's how we save our taters, and we'll eat them all through the winter. This past year was the worst tater harvest I've ever had in my life, and we run out, and I had to buy some bagged Canadian taters, and they ain't like our taters, but they was eatable, so I'm glad I could get them. But hopefully this year we ain't got no worries about running out. And that kind of thing makes a tater-tarian sleep awful good at night. I hope y'all enjoyed this. Like it if you will. Subscribe to my channel. I'll see you next time.